Hello, so this is an instructional video on how to put together the e-sampler system. To start off first, you'll grab the tripod. And so the legs will probably be folded up. And so what you're going to do is you're going to fold these out one by one, and then insert the pins once you align the holes of the legs to the holes on the plates. So once you have the pins in, the next step will be sliding on the e-sampler. So you'll see this box here, and what you'll do with it closed up with the latch is that you'll take this back slot and put it on the tab on the tripod. So for the next part, you'll need this bolt and this nut, and what you're going to do is you're going to take the ground wire and ground it to the tripod. So you need to align the slot with the hole. And so what you'll do is you'll use either a screwdriver and pliers to help have some stability as you try to screw it in. But basically, you'll take this and you want to hold it against the slot to where it's fastened against it as you tighten it. So once you have that fastened down with the ground wire and the bolts and the nut, the next thing you'll do is that you will mount the power supply with these brackets to one of the legs on the tripod. So whenever you're mounting the power supply, one thing you want to make sure is that these are facing out and on top, and that as you mount it to the leg is that you would slot the tripod leg into this part. And so what you'll do is you'll bring it to the tripod leg, fit it through those holes, and once that's there, you're going to take a washer and then screw down a nut. The next step is to fasten this clamp with the Allen screws and the Allen wrench and fasten it to the 60-inch crossbar. And what you're going to do with it afterwards is you're going to take it to the back of the e-sampler and slide it down on this rod. So one thing to note as you put together the e-sampler is that the e-sampler itself should always face true north. And so as you install the alignment hub and tighten down this clamp, is that you want to allow the wind sensor to face south, but it needs to be on the east side of the e-sampler. The next step is to install the wind sensor. And so on the back, you'll see a label that says caution to face this side towards the south. And so as far as when you install it, you want to make sure that since the e-sampler is facing north, is that means it will be facing the opposite direction. And so you'll insert it into the alignment hub, and then you'll tighten down these Allen screws with the Allen wrench. So next is the fin for the wind sensor. What you'll find is a tiny Allen wrench, and what you'll do is you will insert this into the wind sensor, and you want to make sure that the fin is aligned vertically straight. And what you'll find is a little diagonal Allen screw. You'll tighten the fin down. Situated under the weight of the wind sensor is a lock screw that holds this fin and just contraption in place. So what you want to do is you want to unscrew that easily by hand. And what this allows to do is for it to be able to rotate. And so you want to be sure to keep this in a place where you won't lose it. So be sure to put it in a Ziploc bag or somewhere where you're not going to lose track of it. So what you're going to do next is you're going to take the wind sensor cable and take it to the bottom of the e-sampler. What you can find on the bottom of the e-sampler is a diagram of the connector layout, and that'll help you know where to put each cable in. Once the wind sensor cord is attached and locked in from the key notch and twisted on to tighten, next you're going to take the power supply cable as well. Last but not least, the last cord that you'll connect is the adapter, which will then hook up to the relative humidity sensor. And so you'll take it to the bottom and connect it as well. The last part to install to the E-sampler is the relative humidity sensor. And so since the wind sensor is on the east side of the E-sampler, you'll make sure that the relative humidity sensor is on the west side. And so since these clasps are really hard to close by hand, what you'll end up doing is taking some channel locks, and that'll help you be able to firmly lock these clasps in place. What you're going to do with the channel locks is that you'll see the notches on the front and the back, and what you want to do is put the teeth of the channel locks onto both of those, and then firmly but not too hard put those in. And then you'll just do that to each of the clasps to make sure that it's locked onto the crossover. Finally, to finish it off, you're going to take the relative humidity sensor cable and you're going to connect it to the adapter. And so most of it's pretty easy to connect because all you have to do is align the amount of prongs to the poles. And so most of them only have the same exact amount of prongs. None of them have the same amount. The final tip, just to help with organization and just practical being able to function around with the E-sampler, is that you're going to tie up excess cords from the cables, and that'll just help you keep track and for it to not be as messy as you work around with it. So with the E-sampler, you do have the power supply, and once you plug this in, just to show you how it works, is that you can plug this in and the E-sampler will function. And you'll see it come on, it says the unit's off. But as far as with the battery and installment and assembly, you'll first take off the battery cover, and what you'll do is you'll pull out this ribbon and these cords that are supposed to connect to the battery. And what you'll see is that red goes to positive and black goes to negative. And so you'll hook these up to the battery, and so the batteries are useful for remote use and just how useful the E-sampler is, being able to work with it without being inside a building. And what you'll do is you'll make sure this cord is tucked behind as you push it back in. Make sure it's behind it, and you'll slide this ribbon over the top as you slide it into its slot. And then you'll replace the battery cover. And then, so once it's not plugged in and the battery has enough power, it can also allow this to continue to function. As far as the operation, the E-sampler records and logs data as it takes concentration and relative humidity and the wind sensor data, but it also takes physical samples. And so one important aspect is to know how to pull out the filter that catches physical air particles. And so what you'll do, kind of following these instructions, is first pull down, and then it'll allow you to pull out the filter. And so you see it has this clasp that you can pull out and use that for physical lab data and evidence. And so you'll just pull that back down and slide it back in. So as far as kind of figuring out the buttons and how to work the touchpad, this is how you turn on the sampling and begin things and select yes, and this is for no. But also you can go through the menu, and this is how you can help set up operations, the configurations and parameters that you need to set up, and also calibrating it. And so as you look through each of these things, you can kind of see that's the main home screen for operating. The setup is where you can look through the clock, what time it's set on, the average period, how long you're going to do testing, the concentration, what are you looking for, what types of amounts, the sampling mode, whether it's continuous or it's timed intervals. Alarm contact is not something you'll really get into, it's turned off. The relative humidity heater control to set those configurations and parameters, the zero mode, the span mode, the baud rate, the station ID, which allows, as you set up both E-samplers, to differentiate which one you're getting data from. So as you begin operating, you'll just simply hit this button on the left and that'll turn on and begin the sampling. And you'll know once it's running is that you'll hear this ringing sound. And so it's easy to find because basically you can go through these arrows and click through the different things that it's taking measurements of. And once you've gone through those, you can kind of just have real-time data on what's happening, and also being able to store the log data so that you can later use that for analysis. I hope this video was helpful. It took a whole semester worth of figuring out how to work the eSampler and to really get it set up in the right spot. So hopefully this video can help you quickly assess and just make sure it's put together right so that you can get deeper into the study and research in this field.